You know, I was scrolling through the YouTubeage the other day and I was noticing that there's really not a lot of good videos out there that really show how to rig a lot of your hairy balls, hairy dice, hairy whatever. Well, I'm going to talk about some of the ways that I like to rig them, and I'm going to show you how to do it and how to fish them a couple of my favorite ways. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've been a little bit late to this, but I have had a lot of different ideas on how to use them for the bass that I like to fish for, which a lot of times are those suspended bass or topwater bass. And there's a few baits out there that I really enjoy. Now, we're not going to talk so much about the topwater bass yet. That's a little something I'm going to keep to myself. But anyway, it's really pretty interesting how you can use these baits. And a lot of people ask me, okay, what do they mimic? Well, you know, we were fishing a jig today, and we were actually fishing for open water bass using a 3/4 ounce jig. We actually got a hold, I lost one that I know had to be a giant, but we caught another one on it right after that. And if you think about it, if that thing's down there flaring around and all the hair that it's got to look a whole lot like whatever that looks like too, right? Secondly, I've heard a theory that could be right, and that's when the bass are small, they're eating plankton and those sort of kind of microorganisms, and it kind of goes back to their childhood and when they were just baby bass eating little fuzzy plankton. I don't know if that's BS or not, but anyway, all I know is it works. You know, my buddy Thomas, he's probably going to kill me for even telling you this, but I don't know where it was or when it was, but he told me he was drop shotting some fuzzy dice and he won a tournament. So when you tell me that, it's time for me to figure it out. And I'm going to tell you guys a couple of things that I've done, because everybody, I'm going to tell you this, we're not going to talk about put them on a drop shot. I think you already know that. So let me show you a couple of ways I like to rig them, a couple of ways I like to fish them. It's a little bit different. So we started using a couple of fuzzy balls, really, back in the early spring, late winter, and they were the Hideup tackle. I don't even know if you can see this somewhere. Here they are. The Hideup tackle Kickis. These are the 17 millimeters. So they're like this size, right? Pretty interesting little ball. I think that's a good little size, maybe a little bit big for what a lot of guys like. For me, if I'm using the smaller ones like this, and these are from Three Brothers Baits. We met them down in Knoxville, down at the show. They had a booth down there, and so we picked up a couple of really good colors. These, I'm really fishing these ultra small ones on a drop shot. That's what I'm going to do with these. Now, these sink. We got, you know, some green pumpkins. We got some clear ones, and this is like a kind of like a smoke shad kind of color here from them. You know, realistically, I got a lot of fuzzy bugs too that I like to use, but we also picked up some of these a little bit smaller, and these are the floaters right here. Now, I'll talk to you a little bit about what I like to do with these in just a second, but it's pretty much the same thing that I like to do with these. And we've been putting these to use over the past few months. And again, these are the Kickis, and I like them. I like this size. I think they're, you know, they're about the same size as a jig. So you're kind of moving away from any of your, you know, smaller, you know, peanut, as we generally call them, little peckerheads. But for now, let me get into this with you so that I can show you how I like to fish these. And my favorite way, and I guess I'll show you my little topwater secret. So we're going to jump right into the rigging. Now, one of the things I love to do is throw this on the topwater. And when it comes to throwing it as a topwater, it's just so subtle. You can leave it there. It's just crazy. The bass just have no clue. You can almost wake it You can just twitch it. You can shiver it and just let it sit there and go crazy and just vibrate in the water. So there's so many things you can do with it. Now, you're not going to be able to cast it a country mile, but what I like to do is use the heaviest hook, and depending on the hooks you have, you're going to want to test this, and it's going to be different. Like now with this right here, it's going to be a little more subtle. So you can really get down to a good little circle hook with this, and not have a really big hook at all. So something really light, just enough to where it floats it right at or just below the surface. And that's all you want. Now for this big one, about what I can get away with, you can see that's a Gamakatsu EWG. I like that red hook up shallow too. And what that does is it gives a little bit of a target in this green pumpkin ball. Love this in the fall. Right now around some brush piles in the midday, in the evenings, because it's so subtle. It's quiet, shimmying, and the bass have no clue what to do other than stick their face on it. It's like us looking at something going, ooh, what is it? I gotta touch it. We all learn not to touch something hot by touching something hot. So we're gonna go educate some bass on some hairy balls. Now, something that I like to do when it comes to rigging it is just simply this right here. Now, the great thing about this is that it is the stretchy plastic material, super durable. So you just barely have to skin hook it. So when I come through, I just pick me an area and I just come through. When it's dense like that, it's pretty stiff. It's odd that something can be so stiff yet so soft at the same time. Now, something I do like to do is I like to go ahead and push it a little way up there. Okay, so we're sitting just like that on top of the water. And what that'll do is when they hook it, you're gonna hook those bass. Now, then we tie it on. Now, I'm not gonna tie this on today. You can see it working in the water. We did get some shots of that, and how easy it is to work in water and how cool it is to work in the water, because I want to talk to you about the other two ways I like to rig this and these hairy dice and these hairy balls. And this is the way I probably had more success than any out of them. Now, one of my favorite ways to rig this, and you can do it a lot of different ways, but you can fish this on the bottom. Another way, it's kind of the same thing, is you can use the Ned rig hooks. I like the EWGs if I'm going to do it, depending on the size of dice or hairy, whatever that I'm using. Is come straight through the middle and it'll have the weight there. And when you walk it, it kind of floats up and it kind of keeps it on the bottom. Now, the thing about that is you can use the ones that float if you want it to stand up. You can use the ones that sink if you want it to just kind of fall over, whatever you want to do. I really like to use the smaller floaters for that. I think they work a little bit better. You can go a little bit lighter hook, lighter weight. This, what I like about this is I like to do this for suspended bass. Now again, there's another company that makes a wacky rig hook that's got a spring in the middle and the weight kind of attached to it. So the weight is kind of like right there and the spring is there and you just screw it into your dice or balls. That's a dangerous sentence. But all that being said, these are from Angler Tungsten. I don't know if they still make them, but I've got a bunch of them. If they don't, I'll definitely give you somebody that does. This is, I think, 2-aught Nico rig hook. Again, links to everything that I'm talking about will be down in the description. So you'll be able to go to Tackle Warehouse and get those. Hey, if you don't care, because we don't do, memberships or anything like that, and if you want to support the channel or you want to say thanks, just go down in the description, bookmark that link, or scan this code right here and bookmark it on your phone. And the next time you go out and you buy some baits from Tackle Warehouse, use our link. It helps and doesn't cost you a dime extra. All right, so let me show you how to rig this up. It's basically got a clasp, the same type of clasp that you're gonna find in some of those wobble heads. And you could use a wobble head, actually. I think that's a great idea. Now, this clasp, I will tell you, will spin in the bottom of this. So when you put it on, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna spin it around, and right where it touches, you're just gonna kind of give it a nice little pull and it'll snap. And there you go. Now, quick, easy cheating tip for putting this on. When you put it on, make sure that the hook is in this position. When you go down on that wire, you'll end up in the right position, okay? So don't put it on in this position or you will end up in the wrong position. So, after that, we're gonna tie it on. All right, geeks. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna tie a pit seam knot on here. So I'm gonna shove it through the eye. Don't tie it on the weight. And we're just gonna come around. We're just gonna wrap it. And forgive this line, I got it caught in the reel earlier. So it looks like, you know, wet it down, pull it down, trim your tag in. And last but not least, what we're gonna put on is the clearish pinkish one. I don't know what the colors are, but again, we're just gonna skin hook. And we're gonna come out, just gonna shove it down that hook. And that's what it's gonna look like in the water as it falls. And we're just gonna be able to shake it. And what that'll do is it'll just do that in the water. We just shake it in front of those bass. Now we'll adjust the weight, 3/8 ounce. Let's say if they were in 5 to 10, we'd put an 1/8 ounce on there. So instead of a 3/8 ounce. If they were in 30 foot, we'd put a 1/2 ounce on there. All right, now let's talk about rod, reel, and line for this. Huge fan of my casting rods. These are the Core series, and this is a 7-foot medium heavy fast action because I'm using that heavier weight, that 3/8 ounce. So I'm going with that medium heavy. Now, if I was throwing on top water to get the longest cast possible, I would want to go down one size, go with a medium, maybe even a medium mod action. But you can get away with a medium fast. I mean, believe it or not, I've actually casted the topwater version on this today. I get a pretty good cast. I can get probably 40, 50, 60 feet out of it. All that being said, again, love casting American-made rod. That's why even the blank is American-made. They make their own blanks. I've got that coupled with the Lew's Custom Pro Speed Spin. Great reel, one of my favorite reels. They've made a little change to it. I don't like all the gold, but you know, is what it is. And so they've redesigned it. But this is one of my favorite spinning reels out there. Line, I've got high vis yellow 10-pound test braid. I've got about a 15-foot leader of Pro 100 100% fluorocarbon on top of that from K9, and I've got you guys a 10% off discount. You really need to go check them out. They're really getting ready to drop something that is amazing, and it's going to blow the industry away when they do. So basically, we're going to fish this the same exact way as if it was a ball head jig. We're going to throw it out there, we're going to drop it down on those fish's head, and we're just going to shake the ever-loving fire right out of it. Now, like I said, you can fish it on the bottom too. It's a great way to fish it on the bottom, gives it a little bit of extra action, and it'll get a lot of big bites doing that. But the way we're going to fish it right now is and I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like on the forward-facing sonar. We're going to cast it out there, we're going to let it sink down to those bass, and then we're just going to slowly work it past them. Hopefully, one of them will come up and bite it. Now, when it comes to hook set, you know, it's anything with a spinning rod, straight up, reel down, get that rod tip down. You don't want those bass jumping. It only looks good again in Bill Dance videos and in you know, some of the YouTube videos. But if you want to keep that fish on and put your thumb in his mouth, you better keep that rod tip down. Make sure you fight him, you play him, you're playing it on a spinning rod. Don't horse him in. Take your time. Don't give them slack. Get them to the boat. Now, good thing is single hook, should be able to get a pretty solid hook set in them. And get them to the boat, net them, thumb hook them, boat hop them. Whatever you feel like doing, whatever you got confidence in doing. And it's just that simple, really. The thing of it is there's 100 different ways to fish these. And one of the things I'd like to know, you geeks tell me down in the description below, what's your favorite way? How have you caught the most bass on them? Is it just drop shotting them? Is it doing something crazy like this? Or even fishing on top water? Let me know, A, what your favorite Harry bait is, and B, how your favorite way of rigging it to catch bass is. How have you had your most success? All right, now, if you want to check out the way that we rigged this earlier, make sure you go check out this video right here. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad. Help us get to 100K subscribers. And you geeks rock.